the discussions, the comparisons that some people draw between the Jewish Holocaust and the current situation in Gaza. And we need to say up front, this is, incredibly sensitive territory.
Absolutely. Intricate, sensitive, lots of layers here.
Our mission, like always in these deep dives, is to really unpack what's in our source material. Today, that's Gaza and the Holocaust, a comparative analysis by Matthew Adams, published July 23rd, 2025. It's been fact-checked by Grok AI.
And the goal isn't to agree or disagree, right? It's about extracting the insights, the perspectives from the source.
Exactly. We're not taking sides. We just want to help you understand the arguments being presented. And the source itself warns, interpretations vary widely.
It mentions the complex historical, political, and ethical perspectives.
But it also points out, and this is key, that both events involve significant human suffering, displacement, and allegations of targeted violence. That's sort of the baseline connection it explores.
Yeah. Undeniable suffering.
So let's start where the source begins, mass casualties and suffering. It reminds us about the Holocaust, systematic murder, about 6 million Jews by the Nazis.
And the methods, industrialized killing, gas chambers, the scale is almost incomprehensible.
Then it pivots to Gaza. The source talks about significant civilian casualties. Reports, it says, indicate tens of thousands of deaths, many women and children, due to military operations.
Right. So the source sets up this comparison of scale, or, devastating numbers in both cases. But the means are different, obviously.
How so?
Well, the Holocaust had this, industrial setup for extermination. In Gaza, the source points to tens of thousands of deaths from military operations. It's highlighting how modern conflict, even with conventional weapons, can result in a human cost that, in terms of sheer suffering and numbers, tragically echoes historical precedents.
It forces you to grapple with the magnitude of loss in both contexts.
Exactly, the sheer impact.
Okay, so that's the scale of suffering. But the source then asks, well, how does this become possible? Which brings us to the second point, dehumanization and rhetoric.
Ah, yes, the language.
The source details how Nazi propaganda systematically dehumanized Jewish people. They were labeled threats to be eradicated, really vile stuff.
Poisonous language designed to strip away humanity.
And then the source draws a comparison. Or rather, it points out that critics draw a comparison. They look at statements by some Israeli officials, things like calls to erase or flatten Gaza.
And those critics argue that this kind of language might show a comparable intent, or at least enable violence.
What's the source's take on that comparison?
Well, it emphasizes how dehumanization works, how this kind of rhetoric can, precede and even enable violence. It makes extreme actions seem more justifiable if you first paint the target group as less than human.
So the language itself is a kind of weapon.
In a way, yes, it paves the path. And the source notes how sensitive this comparison is, precisely because of the historical weight. It makes you really scrutinize the words being used today. Interpretations differ sharply, of course.
Okay, so language can dehumanize, potentially paving the way for violence. The source then moves to the physical actions, displacement, and forced removal.
Another heavy point of comparison.
It talks about the Holocaust, the forced relocation of Jews, first into ghettos, then to concentration and death camps, brutal removal from homes, communities.
A systematic uprooting.
Then it looks at Gaza,